The world's greatest physicists hadn't touched Einstein's formula for 100 years, because it was perfect, or so they thought, until the student his math professors called a failure noticed something on his computer screen. Oliver Whitfield was living his last chance at the University of Toronto's mathematics department. In his third attempt at differential equations, he stood before Professor Margaret Thompson. The rest of the class looked at him with pity. "Mr. Whitfield," said Professor Thompson, pushing her glasses up her nose, "this is your third attempt, and unfortunately, you've failed again." Oliver's hands were trembling. He looked at his paper once more. He had been trying to derive Einstein's mass-energy equation from special relativity theory. E equals mc squared. The formula everyone knew, no one questioned. But he kept reaching a different conclusion during derivation. "Professor, I think I noticed something," Oliver mumbled. The class laughed. Thomas Richardson raised his voice from the back row. "Whitfield's making discoveries again." They laughed even harder. Professor Thompson raised her hand to silence the room. "Mr. Whitfield, are you claiming there's an error in Einstein's formula?" "No, of course not. It's just, during derivation, an extra term keeps appearing, a small constant, as if nothing, Mr. Whitfield. This is mathematics, not fantasy. You're failing this course, and frankly, I suggest you seriously question whether the mathematics department is the right place for you." 5 years later, Oliver Whitfield was working at a small software company in Vancouver, Quantum Data Solutions. Big name, small office, just a 4-person team, CEO Benjamin Clark, 2 programmers, and Oliver. Oliver's job was simple: perform complex mathematical calculations for financial modeling. But at night, when he was alone in the office, he returned to his old obsession: Einstein's formula. "Still messing with that?" asked Benjamin one evening when he caught Oliver at the computer. "I'm just curious. At university, they made it seem like I was constantly doing wrong, but that extra term keeps appearing." Benjamin shrugged. "Einstein was Einstein. You're you. Maybe it's time to go home." 10 more years had passed. Oliver now lived in Montreal, doing independent mathematical consulting. His clients were mostly small businesses: inventory optimization, risk analysis, basic statistics. He earned enough money, but that voice inside him still wouldn't quiet. He spent hours in McGill University's library, studying Einstein's original papers, derivations, interpretations made at the time. Dr. Emma Richardson, Thomas's sister, who had ironically become a physicist, ran into him one day. "Oliver? Oliver Whitfield from Toronto?" Oliver looked up. "Emma, Dr. Richardson." "Yes, that's me." "Still doing mathematics? So you didn't give up." "Actually, I'm working on something. It might sound crazy, but..." Emma sat down. "Tell me." Oliver took a deep breath. "When deriving Einstein's mass-energy equation, an extra term keeps appearing. Very small, seems negligible, but what if it shouldn't be neglected?" Emma frowned. "Which term?" Oliver opened his laptop. The screen showed pages of calculations. "This one, a term in the form beta v squared over c to the power of 4. When velocity is much smaller than light speed, it approaches almost zero, but..." "Show me," said Emma, her eyes lighting up. Emma and he had been working together regularly for 5 years. Emma provided resources from McGill's laboratory. Oliver did theoretical calculations. Finally, they were beginning to understand what that small term meant. "Oliver, this could be revolutionary," said Emma, looking at the latest calculations. "This term shows that Einstein's formula falls short at very high energies." "So I was right? I was right at university?" "You weren't just right. You were groundbreaking. But nobody listened." That night, Oliver pulled out his math paper from 20 years ago. He read Professor Thompson's notes written in red pen: faulty derivation, unnecessary terms, F dash. Now that same unnecessary term was preparing to shake the physics world. At Emma's suggestion, they sent their papers to CERN's theoretical physics department. Dr. James Hartwell, head of the department, was surprised when he opened the email. "Who is this Oliver Whitfield?" he asked his assistant. "No academic background visible," says independent researcher. "Take a look at the paper." 3 hours later, Doctor. Hartwell was calling Oliver. "Mr. Whitfield, are these calculations real?" "Yes, sir. Emma Richardson and I have been working on it for 5 years." "Emma Richardson? Emma from McGill?" "I know her. Good physicist. So do you know what you've done?" Oliver remained silent. "You found an error in Einstein's formula. An error no one noticed for 100 years. You showed that E equals mc squared doesn't hold at very high energies." Professor Thompson was in her final year of retirement. Her assistant ran to her excitedly. "Professor, did you see this news? Oliver Whitfield, your former student, found an error in Einstein's formula." Margaret Thompson removed her glasses. "Oliver Whitfield. That name sounds familiar. The student you failed 3 times in 2003. It's in the records. The entire physics world is talking about him now. He's going to be on the cover of Nature." Margaret Thompson's face paled. She rummaged through old files, found Oliver's paper, read the notes she wrote in red pen. Unnecessary terms. Those unnecessary terms were now rewriting physics history. "Gentlemen," said the committee chairman, "we have an unusual candidate for this year's Physics Nobel. Oliver Whitfield, British mathematician, lives in Canada, no PhD, never worked at a university. But—" He opened the file on the table. "The only person to find the error in Einstein's 100-year-old formula. CERN experiments confirmed its accuracy, a discovery that will start a new era in quantum physics. So what's this man's story?" Here's the really interesting part. In 2003, he was expelled from the University of Toronto's mathematics department. Reason: constantly claiming there was an error in Einstein's formula. Silence. "So he was right 20 years ago, but nobody listened?" "Exactly. Distinguished scientists, this award isn't just mine. This is the award for every rejected idea, every unheard voice, every discovery called impossible." Oliver approached the microphone. 20 years ago, my math professors at the University of Toronto told me, "You're not the right person for this job." They were right, because the right person was someone who didn't question existing formulas. But I constantly questioned." Applause from the hall. Einstein himself said, "Imagination is more important than knowledge." But sometimes, the difference between imagination and knowledge is only understood with time. Oliver paused, looking at the audience. "This award is dedicated to all failed students, because sometimes failure just means being ahead of your time." And so Oliver Whitfield transformed from a student who failed math exams to a scientist who corrected Einstein. Because sometimes the greatest discoveries come from the most unexpected places. 20 years, one mathematical error, and an imagination that never gave up. Einstein's formula is still valid, but it's no longer perfect. And this small imperfection opened the door to physics' greatest future discoveries.